Are you ready to finally get your household paper organized? Paper organization is a combination of understanding the papers you need to keep, the best method and tools for saving that information, and being able to retrieve information you need when you need it. The Sunday Basket Podcast will help you do just that. Now let's get started. Welcome to the Sunday Basket Podcast. My name is Lisa Woodruff, and if we haven't met yet, I am a professional organizer and a productivity expert. I have another podcast called Organize 365, and I've been podcasting over there for almost 3 years. So I decided to start a second podcast, and here's why. I know you, as a homeowner, have two different distinct kinds of things to organize. First is your home, and maybe you've been organizing your home already and following me on the Organize 365 podcast and blog and in the 100-day home organization program. But I love to talk about paper organization, and my love for paper organization is starting to overtake my mind more often than not. But I know a lot of the people listening to the Organize 365 podcast may not be interested in paper organization, or at least not the amount of paper organization I want to talk about. So I started this new podcast, and I called it the Sunday Basket Podcast. Now, if you've listened to Organize 365, you have heard about the Sunday Basket. And if you are brand new to me, you may have started listening to this because somebody told you about the Sunday Basket. You probably didn't Google search Sunday Basket. You're like, what is this Sunday Basket? So I want to tell you in this very first podcast, what is a Sunday Basket? Why is it a basket? And why is it on Sunday? Now, this will be a weekly podcast that will come out on, yes, Sunday. But in this first week, I am going to record a short podcast episode for you every single day. This is an actionable podcast you stumbled upon. This isn't a podcast that you're going to listen to, just be entertained and go on your merry way. Well, maybe you will. But I hope that you will be inspired and given the action steps needed to really go forth and get your paperwork organized. So where did this Sunday Basket come from anyway? Well, back in 2003, I think it was, I had a 2-year-old and a 6-month-old, and I was working from home. I deluded myself into thinking I was a stay-at-home mom, but really I was running a couple of side businesses that were really full-time jobs around being a wife, mom, caretaker, homemaker, cook, laundress, you know the drill. And what happened was I had a lot of papers. I had been a teacher in the past, so I happened to have a lot of paper organizing supplies, and in the future I would become a professional organizer, but I didn't realize I really kind of already was one. I also had an addiction to these baskets that were made in Ohio, which is where I live, called Longaberger. They're really cool wicker baskets that are handmade, and I had a gigundous collection of them, like a ridiculous amount of baskets, and they're not cheap. So one night, it was a Sunday night, my husband had gone to bed early and both of the kids were sleeping. My son was not a sleeper, so that was amazing that he was sleeping. And I had some extra energy. It was 8 o'clock at night and I had decided now was the time I was going to tackle that kitchen counter pile of paper. I'm not exaggerating. I am prone to exaggeration, but I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that that pile of paperwork on the end of my counter was probably 12 inches high. And to make matters worse, they were all individual pieces of paper. They weren't grouped or corralled into piles at all, and everything in that pile needed to be done. Our children were adopted, and there was adoption paperwork in there. There were bills to pay. There were invoices I needed to pay and I needed to send out, orders I needed to place, just all of the things that you have on your kitchen counter as well. So I took some time, and the first thing I did was I sorted all of those piles in all of that paperwork into piles. And I had 40 different actionable kinds of piles. And at this point, I don't know about you, but I literally had been paying a few of my bills late because I didn't know where the bill was and I didn't know when it was due. It wasn't that we didn't have the money. Being unorganized and not having your ducks in a row, so to speak, is really demoralizing. It makes you feel like less of a person and that, people can't trust on you and you start to question yourself. And I was a very organized and productive business owner, wife, mom, homeowner, but I didn't feel that way. I just felt like my life was completely out of control because I had no idea what I was missing and how far out of control my life had gotten. So even though I had all of this paperwork and it was 40 distinct piles of things that I needed to do, I was 100% overwhelmed by the amount that I needed to do. But for the first time in probably the last 6 months since we had gotten our daughter, I actually at least knew what it was that was on my list to do. And I then could create a plan going forward to tackle these piles of paperwork one at a time. Well, that was a long time ago. I mean, that was 15, 16 years ago that I first created the Sunday basket system. And over the next 12 years or so, I would ebb and flow in this Sunday basket. I would get very overwhelmed. I would take time. I would divide out all of these piles. I would actionably attack this paperwork. And there were seasons where I didn't need a Sunday basket at all. It just seemed like maybe I was naturally up on my paperwork and the Sunday basket wasn't something I needed. And I was calling it the Sunday basket, like I had named it my Sunday basket. Because for me, it was a basket and I did it on Sunday. Sunday tended to be the day of the week where I had some energy to myself. I'd spent Saturday with the family, so it was okay if I wanted some time to myself to do some work on my business or our home or pay the bills. And the kids were really very settled on a Sunday. It was a great day for me to plan my week and go through all of my actionable to-dos. What I have found is that once people start making a Sunday basket and doing a Sunday basket, they have the same phenomenon happen to them. Sometimes their Sunday basket is overwhelmed with things that need to be done, and other times they're down to just a few pieces of paper in there and they think, ooh, maybe I don't need a Sunday basket anymore. Do not be fooled. You do. Our life, and I'm in the United States, so I'll say as far as a United States person, my life tends to ebb and flow with the seasons. Over on the Organized 365 podcast, I talk about how I divide my life into 3 years each year. So I'm a school teacher, and I thought maybe it was because I was a school teacher that I did this. But I realized the more I talk to other women, we all do this. We divide our year 3 times a year, and there's a different energy to each time of the year. So right now, as this podcast is being launched, it is the beginning of 2018. It is January. This is the start of what I call my new year. And from January to May, I will set some goals and some intentions, and I will work through my to-do list until I get to the end of April and the beginning of May. At the end of April and the beginning of May, I will switch to my summer year. My summer year is more laid back. I don't get as much online work done, but I get a lot of work done around my house. I spend a lot more time with extended family. We do a lot of traveling. I do a lot of parenting with my kids over the summer because they're not at school, teach them life skills. I have a lot of parenting goals over the summer. Then the beginning of August until the beginning of September starts really the biggest year I have, which is what I call my school year. And that's September to December. That's when I am the most productive. I get the most productivity out of that part of the year. I get the best goal setting in January, but I get the most productivity out of September to December. Well, my Sunday basket will balloon during these transition times. So if you're listening to this real time, you probably have some returns that need to be made and some items that you donated. So you have a tax deductible receipt, and maybe your tax donations, your tax forms are starting to come in the mail and you need to save those for when you're filing the taxes. And you have a bunch of holiday cards that you need to go through. And just there's a lot of paperwork coming at you at the end of the year. Similarly, there will be a lot of paperwork coming at you in April and May. And again, in the end of July, August, and the beginning of September. These are natural times of year here in the U.S. where whether you have children or not, there is a lot of paperwork that comes at you. And then there will be other times of the year where your Sunday basket will not have a lot in it. Like the beginning of November, there's not much in there. The month of February, beginning of the March, not much in there. June, beginning of July, not much in your Sunday basket. So the Sunday basket is a container that holds your actionable to-dos and your kitchen counter paperwork, and you go through it every single Sunday. And what I'm going to teach you on these daily podcasts that I'm going to record for this first week are the chunks of exactly how you set up a Sunday basket and what you should be doing each time. But on this podcast, I want to just tell you about you need a basket, a bag, or a box, and you need to pick a day. Now, the Organized 365 Sunday Basket will be released in February. So if you want the Sunday basket that I designed that has a couple of really, really cool features, then for right now, just grab the latest Amazon box you got and use that as your Sunday basket to start, or any bag you like, or any cute basket you have around the house. The size of the basket that you are looking for is about the size of a watermelon, like a big watermelon. So if you were to put your arms out, you should be able to hug your Sunday basket and your fingertips just touch. That's about the right size and about 9 inches tall. You don't want a really shallow Sunday basket. You want a tall Sunday basket that a binder could fit in, or I use slash pockets. You're going to hear all about slash pockets. I'm somewhat obsessed with slash pockets. Slash pockets are binder inserts that are plastic and they are colored and they have tabs on them. You could find them in any office supply aisle, but yes, I have created my own slash pockets with my own colors, and I'm going to teach you my methodology over getting organized. I'm a teacher by trade, a professional organizer, and an Amazon #1 bestseller, and I've taught hundreds, thousands of women how to organize their homes online, and we've organized hundreds of homes here in Cincinnati. So I know how to teach you how to get organized, and some of the things you need when you're going to start a new class or follow a teacher are the materials that they provide. So in this next podcast, I'm going to tell you about the Sunday basket workshops I offer, and then we'll get started making your Sunday basket. So your task for today is to find a box, a bag, or a basket that can be your Sunday basket, and decide what day of the week you can consistently every single week go through your Sunday basket. Your Sunday basket time is going to take anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours. Don't freak out. It won't always take 2 hours, and don't worry about the fact that it's going to take time. You're already missing things, right? And you're already overwhelmed. So we're just going to take the daily 15 to 20 to 30 minutes that you are spending on paperwork anyway and worrying about paperwork anyway, and we're going to chunk it all on one day. So I have a basket and I do it on Sunday. I want you to figure out what is your container and what day are you going to go through that container on. All of your paper organization success rests on establishing and maintaining a Sunday basket. I would love for you to join me in a Sunday basket workshop. Sunday basket workshops are offered virtually, online, and in physical locations around the world. Log on to thesundaybasket.com to register for the Sunday basket workshop that best fits your schedule and learning style.